This is the QTV Nightly News, and I am Loli M. Kamara. Thank you for joining us. Here are the headlines. In observance of World Malaria Day 2025, Gambia's Health Minister, Dr. Ahmadu Lamin Samate, called for collective action in the fight against the disease, emphasizing the urgent need to create a malaria-free world. Dr. Nathan Bachiaita, the WHO country representative, reflects on the progress made and the continued urgency to eliminate malaria, one of the world's oldest and deadliest diseases. Prominent Gambian political figure and leader of the Gambia Moral Congress, Mai Ahmed Fati, has spoken about the nation's democratic journey, ongoing development projects and the need for unity. In commemoration of this year's International Women's Day, Women Tech Makers on Thursday hosted an empowering platform dedicated to celebrating the accomplishments of women in technology. In preparations for the upcoming 2025 Hajj pilgrimage to Saudi Arabia next month, 2-hour travel and tours in collaboration with the Kanifing General Hospital organized a medical screening and orientation for intending pilgrims. Those were the headlines. Now the news in detail. Thank you for joining us. In observance of the World Malaria Day 2025, Gambia's Health Minister, Dr. Ahmadu Lamin Samate, called for collective action in the fight against the disease, emphasizing the urgent need to create a malaria-free world. Ma'am Nabuka has the rest of that story.
Malaria Day, annually commemorated on April 25th, aims to raise global awareness and mobilize action towards malaria control and elimination. The day encourages education, prevention and treatment efforts, particularly in areas where malaria is viciously prevalent. This year's theme, Malaria Ends With Us, Reinvest, Reimagine, Reignite, casts key focus on re-energizing efforts at all levels, from global policy, sustained investment, research, partnerships, to community action, to accelerate progress towards malaria eradication. Globally, malaria is responsible for over 500,000 deaths each year, with 95% of those deaths coming from the African region. In the Gambia, malaria remains a significant public health concern, with the entire population at high risk and transmission being intense for most of the year. While the country has made significant progress in reducing malaria incidents by over 40% since 2015, there are still challenges that remain to be addressed. Dr. Ahmadu Lamin Samate, the Gambia's Minister of Health, urges the need to continue fighting the disease.
Despite the recent global and national setbacks towards malaria control and elimination, there is wealth of knowledge, evidence, and tools to change this trajectory. Hence, achieving a malaria-free society will require reinvesting in proven interventions to prioritizing investments in WHO-recommended tools such as insecticide-treated bed nets, indoor residual spraying, chemoprevention, malaria vaccines, and artemisinin-based combination therapies.
Dr. Samate emphasized the need to reimagine strategies for malaria control, including the use of data-driven approaches to tailor interventions to local contexts, and ensure that they are evidence-based and adapted to specific community needs. He also called for the exploration and implementation of innovating financing mechanisms to bridge resource gaps, and the importance of collective efforts and community engagement to accelerate progress in combating malaria.
Ending malaria is not just a health imperative, it is an investment in a healthier, more equitable, safer, and more prosperous future for our nation. Malaria is preventable and treatable, and by working together, we can ensure that no one is left behind.
Minister Samate shed light on what steps the Gambia intends to take to eradicate the disease.
In the Gambia, the Ministry of Health, with support from its technical and funding partners, will continue to implement impact-driven interventions to achieve universal coverage on the use of insecticide-treated bed nets, seasonal malaria chemoprevention, indoor residual spraying, prompt diagnosis, and appropriate treatment of malaria illnesses, especially those at highest risk of malaria. In May this year, the Ministry of Health will launch the third synchronized cross-border bed net distribution scheme with our counterparts in Senegal to help curb malaria endemicity in our region.
As part of the World Malaria Day observance, various awareness programs will be conducted with the aim to engage the public and reinforce the message that a malaria-free Gambia can be achieved. Mamna Buka, reporting for QTV News.
World Malaria Day is observed on April 25th each year. The day is an opportunity for the world to reflect on progress, recognize the work ahead, and renew commitments to ending one of the world's oldest and deadliest diseases. I spoke with Dr. Nathan Bajeta, the WHO country representative, about the progress made in the Gambia. Malaria is a life-threatening disease spread to humans by some types of mosquitoes. It is preventable and curable. This fact is proven by the fact that some African countries are now malaria-free. The infection is caused by a parasite and does not spread from one person to person. On World Malaria Day 2025, the World Health Organization's country representative in the Gambia, Dr. Nathan Bajeta, while acknowledging the gains made in controlling malaria in the country, says that in the Gambia, malaria is not a known concrete threat. Rather, it is a familiar and persistent burden. He adds that its toll is heavier on young children and expectant mothers, whose health is most vulnerable.
There is progress in controlling malaria. Over the last decade, the Gambia has recorded a 57% reduction in malaria cases between 2015 and 2024. This is a powerful sign of what can be accomplished when government leadership, dedicated health workers, strong partnerships, and active communities work hand in hand.
Despite success stories, Mr. Bajeta adds that the fight to eradicate malaria is far from over because each year, especially during the rainy season, from June to September, new cases emerge.
Every single case and every life lost is a stark reminder that our mission remains unaccomplished. That is why the Malaria Strategic Plan is now more important than ever. It outlines a bold path from malaria control to elimination, anchored by two ambitious objectives: zero malaria deaths and zero indigenous transmission by 2025, which is this year. Achieving these goals requires bold action, collaboration, and a clear focus on a malaria-free Gambia.
Here is the WHO rep again underscoring the importance of this year's theme.
This year's theme underscores the fact that ending malaria is a shared responsibility requiring action across all sectors, from policymakers to our local communities. To reach our elimination targets, we must act together.
Malaria can be prevented by avoiding mosquito bites and by taking medicines with sleeping under insecticide-treated nets and indoor residual spraying, IRS, key in malaria control and elimination strategies. Elimination strategies include keeping our environment clean and not providing a breeding ground for mosquitoes. Additionally, Dr. Nathan says to overcome these challenges, all stakeholders must be on board to recommit to malaria control and eventual elimination. For QTV News, Slowly M. Kamara. Prominent Gambian political figure and the leader of the Moral Congress, Mai Ahmed Fati, has spoken about the nation's democratic journey, ongoing development projects, and the need for a unity. At a press conference on Thursday, he reflected on his personal sacrifices and urged politicians to prioritize national interests over partisanship. Aliu Cisse reports.
The GMC leader began his press conference with a prepared statement recounting his painful past and unwavering commitment to democratic ideals. As a former student leader, he endured arrest, torture, and an assassination attempt during the past regime, he said. Now standing in a democratic Gambia, he praised the country's transformation, especially in infrastructure. He highlighted new roads, clinics, and rural electrification as signs of real progress, most of it, he said, funded domestically.
I stand firmly behind His Excellency President Adam Barrow, not out of blind loyalty, but because his vision aligns with our shared goals for the Gambia, particularly infrastructure and intrusive rural development. My support is for the nation first, last, and always. This government, in all honesty, regardless of where you stand on the political divide, has delivered the most ambitious infrastructure transformation in our nation's 60-year history. Achievements that were once deemed impossible. Hundreds of kilometers of new roads, including critical highways and rural access roads, now connect farmers to markets, students to schools, and businesses to customers.
However, he warned that freedom alone isn't enough and condemned political infighting that has stalled key reforms, notably the draft constitution.
Yet, we are not blind to the struggles our people face, such as rising prices, bureaucratic inefficiency, corruption, and slow reforms. These are not new. They are the legacy problems from decades of misrule. Reforms after dictatorship do take time. They cannot be rushed, but neither can they be ignored. The government has shown some commitment to tackling these issues, and I pledge to continue advocating for stronger institutions, transparent procurement processes, and efficient governance. We will continue to push for deeper reforms.
Calling for unity, the former Interior Minister urged politicians to abandon toxic politics and work together, warning that excessive partisanship only divides nations.
We must resist the temptation to engage in toxic politics of insult and acrimony, and instead elevate the discourse to one of ideas, policies, and vision. Excessive partisanship and relentless division serve no one but those who thrive on division. They weaken the fabric of our society, distract us from the real issues, and undermine the trust that is essential for effective governance.
My party, whose GMC has no member in parliament, urged members of the National Assembly to perform their functions, bearing in mind the interest of the nation at all times. Reporting for QTV News, I am Aliu Sise.
We are taking a short commercial break. When we return, we will bring you preparations for the upcoming 2025 Hajj pilgrimage to Saudi Arabia and a surveillance study by MRCD Gambia revealing high rates of Shigella-related diarrhea and rising drug resistance in Basse. Stay tuned.
Oryx, with you all the way.
Welcome back, and this is QTV News. In commemoration of this year's International Women's Day, Women Tech Makers on Thursday hosted an empowering platform dedicated to celebrating the accomplishments and contributions and potential of women in technology. Yafatu Gay tells us more.
Celebrated under the theme Redefine Possible, the event brought together women thriving in various areas of tech, as well as aspiring professionals eager to carve their own paths in the digital world. Speakers shared personal stories, career journeys, and practical advice on navigating the tech landscape, often dominated by men, while challenging stereotypes and pushing the boundaries of what women can achieve. The platform provided the girls with an opportunity to hear first-hand experiences from women in the industry, encouraging them to challenge traditional gender roles and perceptions. Madeleine Leleji, business developer at Joko Labs Banjo, shared insights on what it means to represent women in tech and how to pursue a career in the field.
The important thing is being very much conscious and aware of who you are and where you want to get. And if you're volunteering, it has to be something that makes meaning for you, that creates a sort of impact, not just for the project or initiative you're working on, but it also adds some sort of value to you.
Chaba Job, a mobile developer from Senegal, and Joanna Gomez, the development and communication officer at Cube, encouraged the girls to explore their possibilities.
I discovered mobile development in my university when I was a student, and I really like to make something happen and build something on my mobile phone. I was really happy to do it. That's why I just said I will be a mobile developer, and I continue to have opportunities in this technology.
Please be curious. You know, it has to start there. Like if you are young and you're wondering how do I get into STEAM or how do I get into climate action spaces, I always recommend don't underestimate your curiosity. Start with the curiosity. That's where it begins, right? So when you're curious, you can figure everything else out along the way.
Brenda B.M. Conte, the founder of Destination Jollof, urged girls to expand their horizon beyond conventional roles and consider new possibilities. The event highlighted the importance of visibility, mentorship, and inclusion in building a more equitable tech ecosystem. It aimed not to only amplify women's voices, but also to foster a sense of community and support among women in tech. Through storytelling, mentorship, and dialogue, the event underscored a shared commitment to bridging the digital gender divide and creating opportunity where every woman and girl can explore, innovate, and lead in technology. Reporting for QTV News, this is Yafatige.
In preparations for the upcoming 2025 Hajj pilgrimage to Saudi Arabia next month, Hiwaar Travel and Tours, in collaboration with the Kanifing General Hospital, organized a medical screening and orientation for intending pilgrims. Babukar Sise reports.
The Saudi Arabian Ministry of Hajj requires travelers from yellow fever or meningitis risk countries present a valid vaccination certificate upon entry. This medical screening and orientation, held at Hiwaar Travel and Tours office at Complex Ya Aida in Latrikunda, German, were designed to ensure the pilgrims' physical readiness for the demanding journey and to provide essential guidance on various aspects of the Hajj rituals. Babukar Sen is the administrator at the Kanifing General Hospital.
So what our team is doing is to make sure that whoever wants to travel with this organization is medically fit, and not only physically but also mentally fit. Other travel agencies that are interested for a service like this can make a request, and we are more than happy to conduct the medical exam for their intended pilgrims. It's not only Hiwaar Travel's pilgrims. Kanifing, as a public institution, our mandate is to provide healthcare services to the population.
Boyaba is an intending pilgrim from Farato.
They inject me both my right and my left hand, and then they took the samples as well, where it was very fine, and they tested everything, but everything was normal, alhamdulillah.
Sensitizing intending pilgrims ensures they embark on the Hajj journey equipped with the knowledge, mindset, and resources to perform their duties correctly and safely. Alimu Jallo has participated in all the sensitization sessions.
I come to attend the sensitization every Sunday. They tell us what to do while in Makkah and how to interact with people.
Alhaji Kadi Imam Basiru Lee, senior Hajj guide at Tiawan Travels, explains the sensitization procedures for intending pilgrims.
We started since mid-November. Then we started the pillars of Islam, which include Hajj al-Baytullah al-Haram. We go to the second itinerary, which is Arkanul Hajj, the pillars of Hajj. And then we go to Ma'athuratul Hajj, what will spoil the Hajj. We continue with them every Sunday. I think today will be 13 sessions. And then we ask them also to practice walking, because as everybody knows that from Mina to Arafat, from Arafat to Muzdalifah, from Muzdalifah to Jamarat, back to Makkah, all these things are walking distance. That's the way we normally do our sensitization.
Aja Mariam Adulet, the managing director of Tiawan Travel and Tours, emphasizes the importance of medical checks.
Instead of getting up to go to the hospital, there are long queues, and some of them are not feeling well. Some of them live far, So we just want to do a partnership with the California Hospital, since we work with them. So they come here to my office, so they will get all their medical assessments here to make sure they are all physically fit to go to Hajj, inshallah.
By addressing health concerns and providing essential information about the rituals and challenges of the journey, pilgrims are better prepared both physically and mentally. Babukar Sise, QTV News.
The Shagella surveillance study conducted under the MFRICS for Global Health Initiative by the MRC unit, the Gambia, at the London School of Hygiene and Tropical Medicine has uncovered high rates of Shigella-related diarrhea and drug resistance in URR, prompting calls for a vaccine. Here is Mam Nabuka.
The study, conducted in Basse, was led by researchers from MRC Gambia in collaboration with the Ministry of Health, community health centers, district hospitals, and local authorities. The findings were shared at a dissemination meeting held on April 15, 2025. Launched in 2022, the study examined the burden of Shigella-related diarrhea, a leading cause of illness and death among children in low-resource settings. The findings highlight serious concerns about the effectiveness of current treatment and control strategies. The findings revealed a high prevalence of Shigella infections among children aged 6 to 35 months, coupled with growing resistance to commonly used antibiotics. These results underscore the urgent need to update treatment guidelines, enhance diagnostic capabilities, and accelerate the development of a Shigella vaccine. The findings are significant as they will aid the Gambia's Ministry of Health in strengthening strategies for managing diarrheal diseases. On a global scale, they contribute to the growing body of evidence on antimicrobial resistance in vulnerable populations. The Regional Health Directorate of the Gambia's Ministry of Health reaffirmed the ministry's commitment to supporting MRCG at LSHTM's initiatives focused on enhancing public health in the Upper River region. The study investigators will engage with the Ministry of Health, WHO, Gavi, and other key stakeholders to discuss prioritizing the development and introduction of a Shigella vaccine in the Gambia. The Enterix for Global Health team will continue working closely with local communities, ensuring that participants, elders, and local leaders are informed about the study's findings and their implications to support efforts in prevention and mitigation. Mam Nabuka, reporting for QTV News.
That was a report there by Mam Nabuka, and it is uncovered by the MRC School of Science and Tropic Medicine. Moving on, coming up next is international news. Following lawsuits against the Spanish government by two renowned NGOs for allegedly failing to investigate and penalize Spanish-owned vessels suspected of illegal fishing in West African waters, we take a look at the impact of illegal fishing and the failure to apprehend or punish offenders. More on that from Ansumana Esonyasi.
5 years of advocacy against illegal fishing in West African waters, this is the first major case against a foreign government in recent years. The lawsuit by these two environmental NGOs, Client Art and Ozona, against Spanish authorities has sparked widespread reactions, mostly in support of the lawsuit. Activists across West Africa, many of whom have for years accused foreign vessels of illegal fishing, have welcomed the move and are calling for similar action against other foreign vessels illegally fishing in West African waters. Client Art and Ozona allege that Spanish authorities are turning a blind eye to their fleet's activities in Senegal and Guinea-Bissau. They are accusing Spanish authorities of neglecting their obligations by ignoring vessels that have repeatedly switched off their tracking systems while operating in West Africa, notably off the coast of Senegal and Guinea-Bissau. Many Spanish companies are also accused of establishing joint ventures with local firms or reflagged vessels to these countries, allowing them to benefit economically from rich West African fishing zones while evading EU regulations. While technically operating under local laws, such vessels are still owned by Spanish entities. However, there has not been any formal public reaction from the Spanish government since the NGOs announced they have made a formal complaint. Illegal or unreported and unregulated fishing remains a significant issue, severely impacting local communities, the environment and the economy. One example would be the encroachment of foreign industrial trawlers operating illegally within zones designated for local fishing, posing mounting challenges for artisanal fishermen in coastal areas such as Sanyang. The noticeable decline in fish stocks and damage to local fish nets is also mostly attributed to illegal fishing, and despite its affluence in marine resources, overexploitation is said to have led to a depletion of fish species as sardinella and the popular bonga. This lawsuit by Client Art and Ozona represents a significant step in the fight against illegal fishing, especially in West Africa, and in the drive to combat unsustainable practices that harm marine ecosystems, undermine livelihoods, and contribute to global food insecurity. It is hoped that it will galvanize enforcement of regulations, greater accountability for flag states, and ultimately more sustainable fisheries. Ansumana Esonyasi for KTV News.
That's all for now in this news bulletin. Join us again tomorrow at 8 p.m. for another bulletin. Thanks for watching.